On today's episode of Rowdy Riley's Sports Review, we'll hear from Jeff Fisher, who is known for
It's okay.
So nervous.
I say worse things. Don't be nervous. Hang on. I said a lot of worse words than crap when I'm trying to do stuff. So we'll just do it. Let's have fun.
On today's episode of Rowdy Riley's Sports Review, we will get to hear from Jeff Fisher, who has coached for multiple teams in his storied career. He is synonymous with one play for the Titans before the turn of the century. Coach, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, growing up in Culver City, did you play other sports besides football?
Yeah, a little bit of background, but I'm going to go from present back. Well, you and I, just before we got started, we're kind of talking about it. I have a little lesson for everybody. The sun is significant, and I've been in the sun for 40 years plus as a coach and really took good care of my skin. But I had a little cosmetic thing done last week, and so I have a little bruising. So no pain, totally good. But the advice is when you're out, make sure you protect yourself against the sun and the rays because they can catch up with you over time. So I wanted to set the record straight. You didn't punch me on the way in, and nor have I been punched in a long. I actually might have people wanted to punch me after a couple losses, but so there we are. You know what? I grew up in Southern California, and I was kind of I say two sport, but actually three. I played baseball, played football, and then I surfed. And so I grew up there, really not knowing what the future held. And I got an opportunity to play and start at USC, and I was drafted by the Bears, and I played 5 years with the Chicago Bears. Through the '85 Super Bowl, I got into coaching, and here I am. So full circle, seen it all, and since the end of the regular season and the time in which you called me, I don't think I've been looking forward to doing something or get involved in something as much as this opportunity here right now. So wherever you want to go with it.
I'm going to try to go chronologically with a few interesting questions peppered in. In college, what was it like playing at what's now called the LA Coliseum?
Well, it's interesting. The first time that I was ever in it, was my first time exposed to football, and I was somewhere in that 7 to 8 year old range. My dad took me to see the Rams and the Eagles, and I could still probably give you the starting lineup of the Rams from that team in 1967, but I'll never forget walking through those tunnels and looking in for the first time in my life as a child, seeing this enormous place. It was a stadium. It was a Coliseum. So, little did I think that I would be playing in it in college. Played numerous games in the NFL in it. During the time in which the 1 year that I coached the Rams, I moved from St. Louis to LA. I actually coached there. So I went from that 6, 7, 8 year old young man to actually coaching on the sideline. And so it was quite an experience. And it's a storied place. It's a tremendous amount of, as we know, tradition. And, my last, second to last game, my senior year, there's a big rivalry there. It's SC-UCLA, and game was coming down to the end. And anyway, I missed an opportunity to make a game-winning interception. Would have been a tough play, but nonetheless, the ball ended up being deflected into their running back's hands, and he scored a touchdown, and the Bruins beat the Trojans at home because I couldn't catch the football. But so I carried that along with me, but the next week I came back with an interception against Notre Dame. So, but a lot of experience, a lot of fun times there at the Coliseum.
What lessons did you take from USC to the Bears?
Did not expect to get drafted. Just wanted to get an opportunity at the end of my career at USC, just to get a chance to get into a training camp. Well, little did I know, at that time, I got drafted the second day in the 7th round. The Bears' first round pick was my roommate, so they drafted an offensive lineman, Keith Van Horn from USC. He went back day one. I'm sitting around the house waiting on the call that I didn't think I was going to get. Got the call, ended up going off to mini camp and training camp with the Bears. Having played in a big program helped me, I think, because I was around great athletes and at USC. Marcus Allen, Charlie Whiteman, Heisman Trophy winners, our quarterbacks, our offensive linemen, everybody that was there. So I was prepared to go to camp. I went to camp and actually, made the team. And, then I ended up, and I think that what I had gone through in the big program at USC prepared me for that.
What was the biggest culture shock from California to Illinois?
Well, first thing was weather. I grew up surfing in the morning and skiing in the afternoon in Southern California, and go to Chicago, and all of a sudden the leaves change and then the wind blows them off the trees, and the weather starts to turn and that stuff starts to come down from the north. You can have dinner overlooking Lake Michigan in August after a preseason game. You come back in November and Lake Michigan's frozen. So that was the biggest adjustment, was just the weather. And playing in I played in some cold games, and we got to see some of that and the effects of that over the last few weeks. But Soldier Field on Lake Michigan can be nasty in December.
How much did politics play in your transition from player to coach and leader?
The transition from playing to coaching is unique. You can watch it. You watch it yesterday. You got a lot of former coaches, former players that are coaching at different levels, coordinators. Aaron Glenn, for example, yesterday, really good, solid football player. But not every good player ends up becoming a good coach. Sometimes really good players have difficulty understanding that your players are different. And I've actually worked with really good players, Hall of Fame guys that were coaching, that just couldn't. They wanted their players to do it the way they did it because it worked for them. And the reality is everybody's different. Everybody has different needs. Players have different body types. The football IQ is different. They learn different, and so that's one of the things that I learned very, very early on in my coaching career in the transition, is that you have to teach and you have to be able to communicate, but more importantly, you have to be able to relate and earn their trust. And when players trust you and they know that you're doing everything you can to help them be successful, then things start to click. Ironically, 4 teams started the day yesterday. The top 4 teams in the NFL, they would not have been playing yesterday had they not been teams that clicked and they were together. It's a really, for me to sit around and watch what happened yesterday and everybody involved, there's depths of appreciation and an understanding how difficult it is to get those 4 teams, each one of those teams, to where they were yesterday.
So, as I mentioned in the intro, you're synonymous with one play in the 1999 2000 season playoffs against the Buffalo Bills. What was the name of the play as it stood in the Titans Playbook?
Can I ask you a question? Is this coming from a Buffalo Bills fan by chance?
Yes, it is.
So I knew
However, I am a 50-50. If you're listening to this, Dawson,
So you're 50-50. You're Titans,
and Bills.
Okay, right down the middle. No,
Right
no
down.
49-51 deal.
No,
50.
right down the middle.
Okay. What happens when the Bills and the Titans play? What happens to you? Are you just okay with whoever wins?
It's more of a head heart thing.
Okay.
Like I honestly kind of want a good game regardless.
Okay, that's perfect. And then you want one that comes right down to the end and all kinds of excitement, great quarterback play, good defensive play. And I would think, because you're here in Nashville, you probably would lean to the Titans.
Yes.
Maybe. You don't have to answer that. We can come back and we'll answer it
Yes,
we'll answer it on the next segment. Okay. So yes, going back to your original question, the play in the Buffalo Bill game after in the the wild card first playoff game for our team, which incidentally is always the hardest. When you take a group of players over a period of time, a couple of years, and you build a roster, you always look at from a perspective of how many guys in this room have been to the playoffs before. We didn't have very many of them, and so you have to take them through that experience and what to anticipate. It's all part of the preparation, and so I told them before the Buffalo game that this will be. I said no one's going to stop us if we play the way we're capable of playing, but the first game will be the hardest game. Definitely be the hardest game on this journey through the playoffs. And it was. And, there were 16 seconds left to go in the game, and we were losing. So that's when the story begins. But I'll take you back. As a head coach, one of your responsibilities is to have your team prepared for every potential scenario that you can dream up. And because if you practice, for example, let's put the ball on the 16-yard line, it's last play of the game, it's 4th and goal on the 16, one play left, touchdown wins. If you practice that during the year, and then all of a sudden your players find themselves in that position in a game, they're going to go, oh, well, we practiced that. So, yeah, we're good. Oh, yeah, this is what the play we like. And then, boom, you execute the play. It's a lot more difficult than that, but the fact that you've prepared for the moment will give you a chance. We prepared for the moment and rehearsed what we referred to as a home run throwback every Saturday during the regular season. And I would take that team and put them out there, and we would kick balls to different positions on the return team, and everybody that got the ball knew exactly what their job was, and it was the when the ball's kicked and it comes to you, get it to Frank. That's Frank Wycheck, and who incidentally we lost about a month or so ago, tragically. But get the ball to Frank, and then Frank will do what he can, and then he'll get the ball back to our boundary. And at that time, Derek Mason was our guy. We practiced the whole year with Derek Mason being Kevin Dyson in the play. Derek was the deep guy. So we finally get into this situation, and Buffalo kicks the field goal. There's a TV timeout, and my special teams coach Alan Lowry and I simultaneously, as we looked at each other on the sideline, said, "Home run throwback." I said, "Yep, it's time." So we were pulling the group together on the sideline, and I was looking for Mace, and Mace was out of the game. I called his name, and the trainer said, "Coach, Mace is out. He's got a concussion." I go, "Ew, man." I said, "All right." Well, our next in line was Anthony Dorsett Jr. He had practiced that position, so I called for him. I said, somebody get, when he was out of the game, he was cramping, believe it or not. The game, I think it was 45 degrees and he's cramping. But nonetheless, I just grabbed Kevin and I said to Kevin Dyson, I said, hey, a home run throwback, man, we practice it every Saturday. He goes, Coach, I never paid attention. I said, okay. I said, all you got to do is stay 5 yards behind the ball and stay outside the numbers. And he kind of looked at me. I go, you see the numbers, the 10, 20, 30, 40? Once you outside in our bench, between the numbers and our bench, 5 yards behind the ball, regardless of what happens, you stay there. You work your way there. And he just kind of looked at me and he's like, I got you, Coach. And so if you're a Buffalo Bill fan, as you are, I told Kevin to stay 5 yards behind the ball. Buffalo Bill fans oftentimes say that no, he was 5 inches behind the ball, and it might have been 5 inches in front of the ball. Did you ever come to terms with, was it a lateral or was it not a lateral?
After
if you're a Titans fan, is it a lateral? It's legal. It's a lateral. Yeah, it's a legal play, right?
Yes.
Okay, if you're a Bills fan, then no, it's forward, right?
Right.
So you're still conflicted with
Yes.
that. Okay. Before we're done, I'll have you straight. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Kevin, nonetheless, pays attention. First off, the ball's kicked, and it's kicked. We practice every kick during the year. So each Saturday we'd have maybe 4 or 5 different kicks. We have one go this way on the ground, one go deep over here, one go there. But never during the course of the season, during practice, did we practice that short little bloop kick that went up in the air and that Lorenzo Neal fielded. And so when the ball came off his foot, I went, oh my gosh. And Lorenzo, being a veteran player, and he was the guy in charge of that group on the field, that he made sure that everybody took pride in what they were doing and understood the blocking aspects. That's a typical fullback mind. Anyway, Lowe got the ball. He knew he didn't want any part of it. He had to get it to Frank as quick as he could, and he did. He got it to Frank. So once I saw the ball go to Frank, then I knew at least we had a chance. And then the ball came back across the field right towards me. Kevin fielded the ball. In my mind, I'm looking at different things than most people are. I looked through the ball and Kevin to the far sideline, and the official on the far sideline facing the field this way pointed that direction. So he just went like this when Kevin caught the ball. When I saw him point, I knew that he ruled a lateral. So Kevin takes off down the sideline and with his group, and initially I was thinking, get out of bounds, Kevin, let's kick the field goal. And then it was like, no, just go ahead, go, kind of thing. So Kevin got in the end zone, it went to review. At that point, I knew that they couldn't overturn it because, one, it had been ruled a lateral. Two, in my mind, I thought it was still going to be okay. So the ruling on the field's going to stand, and I was ahead, knowing that at that point we went up by 5, and when you go up by 5, you go for 2. So before they came out and announced it, I was already going through the exercise in my mind: do I go for 2 or go for 1? I didn't feel like we would be able to execute a play because of the magnitude of what just happened offensively and the celebratory, feeling that was throughout the sideline. So I just went ahead and said, we're going to kick it. So we kicked it, and now we're up, and everybody in the world celebrating. Everybody's going, oh my gosh. And nobody, only person there that was concerned about what's going to happen next was me, because we had to kick the ball off, and we did. And nobody remembers this, but Buffalo got that ball almost back to midfield as the game ended. So, in my mind, it was, what are the chances of this happening twice in one game? But nonetheless, I appreciate you bringing it up. I've seen it numerous times, throughout the season, and you see it all, I see it all, the play all the time. The credit goes to, the team, the franchise, and everybody that was associated with our move and our relocation, and the fans. I mean, our job as coaches is to give players a chance to be successful. We were able to put ourselves on the map once and for all with the way that game ended.
How has pro sports changed since you entered the league?
It's a really good question. If you're going to point to one thing, you're going to point to technology. Technology is completely different. Can you imagine? I mean, when I got into the league, there was one defensive coach on the sideline, nobody else there. Two other defensive coaches were up in the box. And we were watching our games the day after a game on 16 millimeter film on projectors that had to be spliced and taped and cut together and put up, and you turn it on and the light goes on and this thing just, and so we came from that, and I'm going to make myself feel old now, through into the digital world. The technology, and again, I'm reminded of it, every time I watch a game, the different camera angles and the shots and the replay and what's going on and the communication. And I mean, back then, if you wanted to talk to New York, I mean, you had to go to the office and get on your hardline phone and be lucky to get in touch with someone in the league office on Monday, the day after the game. Now, I mean, New York's communicating with the officiating department, and they're in their ear. Officials are communicating together, and the networks. And I don't know if you saw yesterday, early on in the Kansas City game, there was they went to a commercial for an administrative timeout. And the administrative timeout, in my experience, is not necessarily a good thing. It usually something's going on. And when the broadcasters team said, we're going to an administrative timeout, and the camera went to Andy's face, and you could see him kind of look up like, would we have lightning? And then it went to timeout. The point is that the game is controlled now, technology-wise, by all the different contributing factors that brought the networks, the NFL, the on-the-ground people, and you can't get away with anything on the field right now. So that's, to me, the biggest thing, is that just the change in technology. I'll wrap that question up by saying that I was on a competition committee for the NFL for a long time. And I believe I started in 2001. And I was on a committee about 16 years, and the committee's responsibility, we fought technology. We fought advancement of technology year after year after year. And just an example of how widespread it is. Players' gloves. They all wear gloves. Well, we would year after year after year throw gloves out the window saying, no, we don't like it. It's too sticky. It's too sticky. It's too sticky. You need to catch the ball. You don't need to let the glove catch the ball. And now they let that go. There's very few restrictions on what they're doing other than who the vendor is. But you see these amazing one-handed catches where that ball just sticks in the hand and things like that. It's because of the tackiness of the gloves. And so again, technology is widespread, but that's the biggest change. And hope that somebody just pumps the brakes a little bit and let us get used to the game as it is now.
We covered your high point as a coach, but what was your high point and low point as a player, and your low point as a coach?
As a coach, I had a lot of things happen. I had dealt with some injuries as a player, but that's part of the game. I guess it would be, I had just stepped into the starting lineup my third season, Chicago, and we were playing in Philadelphia, and I ended up breaking my leg in the game. Bill Cowher broke my leg in the game, and he takes credit for starting getting me into coaching, and so Bill was just a bad athlete that stumbled into my leg, and a good athlete would not have stumbled into my leg. And incidentally, how many times do you think I coached against Bill Cowher? I mean, I don't know, 15, 18, 20 times in the division stuff, twice a year. Well, I would remind our players the night before our game against the Steelers, and they were physical games, and they were just bloodbaths, and it was just like great football. But I would remind them that in the event that they were heading towards the Steelers sideline really fast and out of control, if they happened to see the head coach kind of standing there and they were to stumble into his legs, it would be okay. So just to try to get back at Coach Cowher. But I guess that would have been it. Breaking my leg, I came back off it, but I was starting. I'd been awarded a starting position because of injury, but still, nonetheless, once you get a chance to start, I was starting. So, anyway, that would have been it. Just the injury there that shut me down for that season. I had a lot of great moments as a coach, and most of those moments are connected to personal things that took place, personal journeys of players that I dealt with over my career. That was where my focus was. Those were the rewards. Winning games is great, but when a player changes his life around between a senior year in college and his second or third year in the NFL, I had many of those rewards, and I stay in touch with a lot of the players that I was able to coach, Titans and Rams. But I think perhaps the most difficult moment is one you probably expect, and that's when we lost Steve McNair. And so that was Steve was kind of like a son to me. They all are, but we were close, and so that was that's a memory that is there. I choose to remember Steve's life and how he lived, and not be consumed with as people were on how he died. As a matter of fact, I'm working on a Netflix deal right now on his life, and when it comes out, I'll let you know, and it's going to be really cool. So those are some things. I mean, as a head coach, I don't even know, 21, 22 years in the NFL, so I had a lot of cool experiences.
I know you alluded a little bit, but what was it like moving two organizations to different cities?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I can't name maybe somebody that's moved. I mean, the Chargers kind of moved from San Diego to LA recently, but and then of course the Raiders, they move around all over the place. But it wasn't easy. It was. I think the move from Houston to Nashville into Tennessee. That move, the process, the year, 2, 3-year process that it took, contributed to shaping the type of team that we had, because we had everybody in the building is no more important or no less important than anybody else, and then we all just did everybody else's jobs, and we didn't let things become distractions, because there were a lot of distractions, but we just kind of rolled with it, and communication lines were open, the organization was close, and that's the only way you get through difficult periods or aspects of the relocation. But the one thing in sports, the pro football or whatever level, the one thing that can prevent you from being successful is a distraction. And it could be a mental distraction, it could be a physical distraction, it could be whatever, but something's not right. And so this team learned to deal with distractions. And when Christie kicked the field goal to go up in the game, that's a distraction. That's like, oh my gosh. You see teams in there, and even yesterday, you just saw the faces of Detroit, giving up a 17-point lead, and San Francisco scoring on the first 5 possessions in the second half, being down by 17. That's a distraction. And Detroit just couldn't overcome it. But that was a big deal with the move. But to move the second one, they were completely different. You can imagine moving a team from Houston here to Nashville when we did. It was a beautiful city, and we got out and got to know everybody, and did caravans all over the place, and got to know all the fans, and try to create that that environment that that was set into motion in a lot of ways by the music industry here prior to us getting here, and NASCAR. But now you take a team from St. Louis to LA, and you land in LA, and you get on the freeway, and 2 hours later you're still in LA, and I had to tell the team that we weren't moving to LA, we were playing in LA, and we're going to all try to move up here. So a lot of challenges with respect to that. I wish I would have been able to see that one through, but it didn't happen, and I'm good with it. But I'm better because of it. I can the next time somebody picks up and moves, I hope they give me a call.
What was the biggest lesson you learned in your time in the NFL, regardless of position in the league?
The biggest lesson, based on my experience, is I can't give you one, but I can give you a combination of them. One is in life, the better listener you are, the more happiness you're gonna find, and you're gonna be able to spread. It's contagious. Listening is essential to success, to our health, to everything, and that's in my mind, right, over time, it's something that's dissipating. Being able to communication skills, listening to people, trusting people, and telling people the truth. After that, everything else is, you just roll with it. But those are their life lessons. And then, of course, I think the most important is that it's our responsibility to give back, and to be able to share experiences is an art, an act of that. But more importantly, to go out and actually put your hands on something and help people is important. So I'd like to think the number of lives that we've affected from a charitable standpoint, and things that we've done, the players have done, the league has done, and all those kind of things are fabulous. I just think being a good listener, that's got to be the first and foremost, because I have a lot of stories about listening and the difference. I could go on forever about the difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is, I got you, coach, and it goes in one ear and goes right out the other. Listening is actually paying attention to what's being said, and it's not from a coach to player communication channel. It's just in general in life. I think it's important. Thanks for that question.
What is your opinion on the current state of the NFL? But more importantly, what's your opinion on the current state of the Titans with hiring Callahan?
Yeah, the Titans are going to make good decisions, and they oftentimes have to make hard decisions, and they've done so. They've made two hard decisions over the last year and a half. One is to make a GM change, and then, of course, secondly was to let Mike go. It's not easy. That's part of the business, but there are reasons for it that we don't know, aside from win losses and things like that. The new GM and just recently promoted to executive vice president of football operations, Rand Carthon, will get it done. And I say that I have experience. I worked with Rand for 5 years when I was with the Rams. So I have a great deal of respect for him. He's going to make the right decisions. As far as the hire is concerned, Coach Callahan obviously grew up in the business. His dad's been a head coach in the NFL, very, very successful and a highly respected offensive line coach. So this is a good hire. You can put the best coaches in the NFL all in this one room and start the season and have injuries in the same position or varied positions and not have a chance. And that's the way the league is. So it starts with hiring good people. They're on track there. Now they got the task of rebuilding. I don't want to say rebuilding, but they got to do some stuff with the roster. But it's a very, very competitive team. It's a talented team. And if you were a top head coach's candidate in this hiring cycle, this would be one of the teams you would look at because of the foundation and the base. You can flip things in an offseason nowadays in the NFL. So I would look for them to make significant strides. As far as the kind of the state of the NFL, I guess you got to evaluate it based on its merit and based on what happened yesterday. Championship Sunday is an amazing day for the NFL, and it was just that. It was two great games, four very, very talented teams, storied teams, great stories behind narratives and storylines, and some people, half the people will agree the top two get to go to Vegas, and the other people will disagree, but I think it's going to shape up for a great Super Bowl. The league is in a good space right now. If you look at it, you look at your Bills, the talent that they have, the Bengals and the teams with the quarterbacks. The Chargers have a young quarterback. They didn't make the playoffs, but the quarterback play is extraordinary right now. It's the quarterback position has a lot of youth, and so you're going to be seeing Mahomes again and Jared again, and the guy at San Francisco just amazes me as to what he's been able to do and how far Kyle has brought him along. Those two will be winning championships for years. So the league's in a good place right now, and we just gotta, Roger will keep them on track, and just hope that there's there's some good hires. There's some appropriate hires so that there's not. You just don't want a big gap between the best teams and the worst teams. You want everybody to be competitive on Sunday.
We've overcovered your time in the NFL, but what is your position currently?
What am I doing right now? Well, when I got let go by the Rams, I basically decided that I was going to head outdoors. I'm an outdoorsman. I love to fish. I love to hunt. I love to be outside. So after 35 or 40 years of working all fall and half winter and not being able to be outside, I took to the mountains. So I did that and I'm still doing it. I'm not going to stop, but it's kind of my passion. But I thought about getting back in, and a couple years went by, and I talked to several clubs, but it didn't work out. And then the further I get away from it, the more I realize that I had my run, and I realized this three or four years ago. I had my run, and it was a great run. And I can look back knowing that I gave it my best, and I surrendered, and just I'm trying to help people, as I said earlier. I got involved and helped in 2 different leagues just because of my experience. I helped with the Alliance of American Football, that was headed by Bill Poley and Charlie Ebersol, and who are friends, and I helped them in a non-coaching role in a startup. And then I jumped out and helped some of my buddies at Fox in the USFL when they brought the USFL back. I went down and I agreed to coach the Birmingham to get them off the ground. So I did that and then stepped away. Right now, I've got both feet in the middle of our quest, and it's going to happen real fast. We're bringing the Nashville Cats, the indoor Cats, back, and we're kicking the season off April 27th at Municipal Auditorium. And the Arena Football League is coming back. It's organized. It's well funded, and I'm involved with a small group of partners that have got the naming rights, and we are way past that. We have a 10-game season starting on the 27th of April, and one of those games will be at F&B Arena in Clarksville. 5 of them will be here at Municipal, and we're gonna have a blast. And we got a head coach. We're right in the middle of everything. You'll be hearing a lot more about us, but it's going to be a fun time, and you will be out there, and we'll have you involved. And there's going to be a couple extra seats up there next to our broadcast team, and one of them is probably going to be yours.
Yes, that's going to be an amazing experience.
It will,
I bet. I actually have something for you.
You do?
Yes, sir.
You've been hiding something over there?
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness.
But going back to our my question about the Music City Miracle, which that is colloquially the home run throwback. One of our artists here has actually taken her talents and taken a photo soon after it was decided that the Titans won, and has immortalized that moment.
Wow. Yeah, there's no question. That is, this is special. I remember the shot, and I'm reminded about it often because this is one of my dearest friends. Harold Gooding, and so he actually is going to be helping us with the cats. But yeah, that was this was a memory that, you know, as far as my career was. A lot of people, if people are going to associate this memory with my career, then that's a good thing, because, you know, realistically there were 62,000 people in the stands, and, you know, if you were to go out and do a poll on who says they were there, there's 120,000 people saying that they were there. So something happened. But I mean, I heard stories of people stopping in intersections and, you know, and listening to the radio and just stopping and getting out of their cars and jumping up and down. And yeah, our owner was in the elevator, one elevator over here after they kicked the field goal. My dad was in an elevator over there after they kicked the field goal, thinking the game was over, and like they came out like, what happened? So I had to explain it to him. But thank you so much. This is this is really special. I appreciate this, and I have a special place for it. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for the opportunity to visit with you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it very much.
If you want to find out more about any of the other guests I've had on, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Rowdy Riley SR.